Hello everyone. It is Jackie with Pocket of Preschool, and I am so excited you're here with me tonight. Tonight we are chatting all about weather themed activities and centers, and I have freebies for you and just all kinds of fun ideas you can use for manipulatives. So what I want you to do for me first is put in the comments, tell me, when do you do a weather theme in your classroom? Do you do it in the spring? Have you already done it? Do you wait? Like, I'm in Missouri, so it's just now, like, where we can we took our coats off today for the first time on the playground. But maybe you're in Florida and you already did weather. So tell me when you do a weather theme and if you've done it already this year. Or maybe you do it in the fall. Who knows? Everybody's different, right? I love hearing what you guys do in your classrooms too. So what we do every week is I flip the camera around, I walk you guys around my classroom, and I show you all the fun activities we're doing. I teach half-day preschool, so we don't get to all of these activities, but they're just some that I love or that I've tried in the past. So they're just my tried and true favorites, or maybe it's a new one I've thought of. But just know I don't fit all of this in ever. If we only had them longer, right? Okay, so this is a fun activity to do. Like, you can tell it's on my table. So we do it. You can do it for like a morning table time activity. So what I did is I just took a big giant piece of butcher paper, and if you don't have butcher paper, you can use poster board. And then I used this India ink. I bought it off Amazon. If you go to the top of this post, you can grab it off Amazon, but it's black India ink, and you just put it in these little bingo dabbers, and it writes like really nice. It's great for doing games on poster board or posters, or it's just really fun for art projects. I forgot who I saw it from on Instagram. But what I did was I drew a whole bunch of clouds, and then I put numbers on them. And what the kiddos do is they come over and they count out that many clouds or cotton balls. So like this one, they would count out 1, 2, 3, 4. And they would do that for all of the clouds. And then I also made these little number manipulatives. So these are those glass gems from the dollar store, and I just wrote in permanent marker on them. So this one, here's number 8, and so they would then match the numbers. So they're matching the numbers and they're counting. And I actually thought about this today. Before you're finished with this, you could also have them do like a bingo dabber, and they could put like 8 raindrops under it. So you could have like 8 fluffy clouds, like cotton ball clouds in it. You could have the number, and then they could do 8 raindrops underneath too. So just another fun thing to do for counting. And if you, the India ink, it doesn't go through, and I don't know if it's, I want to say it's permanent. So I wouldn't give this to the kiddos to use, but I really like it for writing on poster board. So yeah, so that's a really fun one you could do. And you could also do this with letters. So you could make clouds and put letters on them, and then you could have make letter like cloud beads. And then you can also just put like letter manipulatives and match them on the clouds too. You wouldn't have to use the cotton balls per se. So that's a really fun math activity. I'm gonna try and video some of my kids doing it in action on Friday, so you guys can kind of see it. Let me show you some more fun manipulatives. So like I said, here are the big glass gems. You could also do raindrops, so you could write on these. You could also just use these as counters, again, cotton balls. So here's some little ones that I wrote the numbers on, but you can see they're a little bit harder to see. We were using those as raindrops. But if those are harder to see, just use these big ones. I think I might actually remake those and put letters and numbers on these big ones. And then you can also do, you guys know I love my like hair gel bags. We're gonna do this actually on Friday for table time. So I'm gonna put these little hair gel bags out, and all this is a thick baggie, so like not a dollar store baggie, because it'll pop. And you just put hair gel inside and like a couple drops of food coloring or liquid watercolor and glitter, and then you just duct tape it shut. And what they do is then they can write. So my idea was to pick a raindrop and then they can write it. It's really hard to do one-handed. Write it on the baggie and then they can make that many raindrops. So they could go like 1, 2. So they could write the number and then make that many raindrops. But I think I put that back in the, well, I have letter and number ones up here. So, but yeah, so these are just some rainbow hair gel bags that I have from another study. But again, rainbows and raindrops, all kinds of fun writing stuff you can do right there. And somebody's asking about these big gems. So the big gems and the small gems I got from the Dollar Tree. Yeah, so you probably would have to maybe buy like 2 or 3 bags of these to get a whole alphabet out of them. Yeah, so yeah, that's where I got them from. And then I know some of you guys can't do shaving cream. So I can't, is it Head Start, and there's a couple states that can't do shaving cream in their classrooms anymore, which is so horribly sad. So I thought of another idea for you guys, since you can't do shaving cream writing anymore. So grab some conditioner. So I just grabbed this White Rain conditioner from the dollar store. I squirted it on. So now you can do like cloud writing, but you're not using shaving cream. You just use the conditioner. Just conditioner from the dollar store. And if you can't use conditioner, try lotion. But yeah, so then you could either have them pick a bead, because you know it won't get too gross, and they can just wipe them off, or you can not use these, it's up to you. But they can write letters, they can make numbers. It's not as pretty as the shaving cream, but they're still getting their writing in. It's a sensory experience. So yeah, and then if you want to be like very daring, you guys know me, I love it. But you can sprinkle some glitter in so they can pretend it's raining, or maybe you want to have them pretend it's snowing. So just sprinkle some glitter in, and then they're doing some glitter writing. Alrighty. Oh, somebody's asking about the hair gel bag. So I think you guys are helping answer her question. So I buy the clear hair, as I throw it, you buy clear hair gel from the dollar store, and you get like, I want to say like 3 bags out of 1 bottle. And then you just do a couple drops of food coloring in it because it's clear. And then you put in some glitter and then duct tape at the top. So yeah, super fun. All right. So another fun game, and this is in my Weather Math and Literacy Center pack on TPT. You can grab it, the link is at the top. So this is just a letter and sound sort. So they're matching the uppercase, the lowercase, and the sound. And then you can also throw in the glass gems. And you can see I have half of the game still in the bag because this is a lot of cards. So each game card has 4 pieces because it has the raindrop and then the 3 pieces. So I only have part of the alphabet in when I was using it for small groups. So again, if you have little pre-K or maybe you have kinder kiddos that are struggling with some letters, put out the letters they're struggling with. You don't have to put out the whole alphabet and overwhelm them. Just put out some of them. And then they won't be overwhelmed and they can be successful and actually get something out of the activity. So that's a really fun one. And then I have this really fun read, build, write. I know it's spring and some of us are starting to work on sight words. So they would pick a card and then they would rainbow write it. And if you don't know what rainbow writing is, it's basically where they draw with each color and they kind of like trace over it. So they would just use each color marker, okay? And then they can build it with, and we're just gonna pretend that this says the right word. Okay, I know it doesn't say they, but I don't want to waste your time trying to find it. Now, if you have itty bitties and they're not ready for sight words yet, that's totally fine. I don't know if I can't erase that, but we're just gonna pretend it's not there. But it comes with blank cards, so just write their names on them and they can rainbow write their name and then build it with the rainbow letters. And then if that's still too tricky, put out some magnet letters and then they can either pick a magnet letter or they could pick a rainbow card and then they can write just the one letter and rainbow write it, and then they can find that letter to match out. Oh, look, there it is. Okay, so you can play this game so many different ways, and it also comes with the lined version as well. Oh, and these are the Weather Math and Literacy Centers I'm talking about right now. And there in that pack too, there's also a color by letter. You guys, I like it when you guys tell me kind of what your kids are wanting at this point in the year. So there is a uppercase color by letter, and there is a lowercase. So those are really fun too. So let's go. Look at guys. I have some fun gross motor I'm going to show you in just a second. So for our Play-Doh tray this week, we are doing rainbows. So I absolutely cheated, y'all. I am just not making my own Play-Doh this year. Like, I just don't have time. That's okay. That's why it's store-bought, right? So I had some, like, this is from like a multicultural pack from Discount School Supply. So it's kind of like a cream color. And then I had a couple things of white, probably from the dollar store. And then I just put out all different rainbow things. So what they do is they make the cloud with the Play-Doh. And then they can make rainbows with the buttons, with the pom-poms, with the beads. And you guys know I love these little sticks because they can poke these in. And then they can put the beads on, like, through them so they can, like, string them, which is great for hand-eye coordination. Or they can actually make the rainbows with the pipe cleaners. And then I put some clear glass gems from the dollar store in there. That way, if they want to make more clouds. And this tray is from the Dollar Tree. Yep, y'all know I love my Dollar Tree. So again, if you can't use shaving cream this activity, just ignore me for like 2 seconds. So I just made some puffy paint, and I did it probably like an hour ago, so it's kind of getting funky. Because you guys know this doesn't last. So what it is, it's equal parts shaving cream and liquid glue, or yeah, like school glue. And then I just added a little bit of paint, which is probably why the consistency is a little bit off. And then this tray is from the dollar store. Yep, that's why it's off. Because if you put a little bit of paint in there, sometimes it doesn't get as puffy, or it kind of dies quicker. But they can make clouds, or maybe they want to make like blue clouds, or maybe they're making storm clouds. It's really fun too to put like foam lightning bolts out, and they can put that in here. You can have them put out paint, and they can paint lightning or paint a rainbow, and then do this for the clouds. Or maybe you're reading Little Cloud by Eric Carle, and they can paint different pictures of clouds. You know how the clouds are turned into different things in the book. So this is a really fun art, open-ended art, fun sensory. So yeah, super fun. Look at that, guys. Oh, so fun. And then another fun activity you can do is make wind socks. So they just paint on a piece of paper, and then once it's dry, they staple it, and then they can cut and put crepe paper on the bottom and glue it. And then, I had a string on here, it must fall off. So you put a string on the top, and then they can go outside and watch it float in the wind, or you can have them stand still and talk about how the wind is moving, if it's not moving. To sneak in some science, and they make your room look beautiful. So yeah, and if you don't want to have them paint a rainbow and they just want to paint a picture, that's totally fine. You all know I love rainbows, so that's a fun one. You can tell this is one we did this week. So this is that glowing painting, but to kind of take it to a next level, and we're really working on like those curvy, wiggly lines with some of my younger friends. So what they did first was they drew the wind, and it was really funny when they drew it because they were making like wind noises. So they just drew it with a Sharpie, and they were like, ooh, and they're like making all these wind noises, making these really super curvy, wiggly lines. And when they're making these curvy, wiggly lines, look at my wrist. My wrist is moving like crazy, or their arm is moving depending on what age they are. If their wrist is moving a lot, then they're probably pre-K. If their arm is moving a lot, then they're probably 3. But yeah, so they draw the wind, and then I have liquid watercolor in here. And if you don't have liquid watercolor, it's okay. Just use watered down paint, and it will do the same thing. So they just squirt a little bit. Here, I'll do one on this little lady's. And then they just blow it. And look at that. So look at how pretty they turned out, you guys. And it's really great oral motor. If you have a friend who drools a lot, blowing activities are great to strengthen those oral motor muscles and all those mouth muscles. So yeah, and how pretty of a bulletin board would that be? And I do put the liquid watercolor in colored cups because sometimes it's hard to tell what colors they are. So yeah. And then here is this is a name activity, and you can do it a couple different ways. So one way you can do it is have them cut out the cloud, and they can attach it with string and kind of be fun that way. My kids didn't want to do that today. Well, they're like, we want to glue it to a piece of paper. And we actually ran out of time, so they're gonna finish it. You can tell I have my stack. I have my stack of everybody's on my little tray. But here's a couple that got finished. Everything's cut out. They wanted to glue it to a piece of paper, which, you know what? It's their craft, so they can do it. Whatever works that makes them happy is fine with me, as long as they're cutting and writing their name, right? So they cut out the cloud, and you can tell this is a pre-K friend because she's got all those lowercase. The lines are cut out beautifully. So this is a 3-year-old friend, and he is still 3. He's a summer birthday, so he's a young little he's a young little man. But look at this, you guys. Look at how he cut out that cloud. I was so proud of him. And he cut out the raindrops, and he wrote all his letters independently, and he did it in one sitting, which is huge for a 3-year-old who has a summer birthday. Like, that's a lot of fine motor. At the end, he's like, "Whoa, my hand is tired." And how he did that was he didn't use regular scissors. So these are those bounce back scissors, you guys. I know I talk about all the time. But they literally bounce back open. So these two friends could sit. So I have because I have a multi-age classroom. So I have pre-K and I have 3 and 4-year-olds all in one. So he was able to do this activity and be successful, but he just used these scissors. Now I don't have him use these scissors all the time, but if we're doing something that is kind of like above his cutting level, we'll definitely use these. So yeah, they bounce back open. And they come in this little size. He likes these, but then I have another friend who likes these. They're bigger. It just kind of depends on what they like. And if you go to the top, my Amazon storefront is at the top of this post, and you can grab them. Woo! So yeah. So you can tell I have this is my little craft cart. And again, this is not open-ended art. We did this as a scissor skill activity. We did not do it for art, because it's not art, really. They're doing a craft. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys what's on the ground. So we all know in the summer there's puddles, right? So take out some paper plates, and you can write letters on them, and they can jump. I'm not gonna jump because I'm gonna get you guys dizzy. But they jump over the puddles and they say the name. So they'd be like A, B, C, D, and you can tell it goes, hopefully I don't make you guys too dizzy. It goes, I have it going all the way around my classroom. And then if they need to work on letters, you can also do it with numbers. So they can jump over and go 1, 2, and you can have them in order or out of order. It totally depends on what it's working. So this is my sensory table this week, or for our weather theme. So it's just blue rice. And you can tell there's little sequins in it. The sequins are from like the dollar store. And then I have these little, I don't know if you guys have seen these before. They're those little pill containers from the dollar store. They're usually like around the checkout. They're fun on the light table too. But they're just itty bitty and tiny. And they are like loving these tiny little containers. But look at all this pentagraph, all this fine motor they're working on by putting all these little things in. And if you want little scoops, just buy some little, what are these, like measuring spoons, and they can put it in. And I've noticed lately that if the smaller the scoops and the smaller containers I put in, the less that gets on the floor. Now, it will get on the floor still, absolutely, but as much doesn't go in because they're having to be a lot more, they're having to, be careful, and they're using more eye-hand coordination and all of that. So they do stack. Somebody's asking if these stack. They actually stack, and you can screw them together, but they haven't figured that out yet. So, yeah. So yeah, these are at the checkout at the Dollar Tree. How fun are those, you guys? And then I just put in some cotton balls for clouds. I made these little lightning bolts, for the table, and then I have rainbow mini erasers. And how I dye my rice is I take a bag of white rice from like Walmart. And then I squirt in some liquid watercolor and just shake, 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 shake. And I did do, you can see it's kind of different blues. So I did do like the blue liquid watercolor, and then I mixed like a little bit of the blue watercolor with the teal. So I got kind of like a different shade to blue. And you just liquid watercolor, shake, 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 and then spread it out to dry, and that's how I make my rice. You can also use rubbing alcohol and food coloring. That works too. And again, rubbing alcohol, food coloring, shake, 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 and let it dry. But just make sure you wear gloves if you're using the food coloring, because it will dye your fingers. Unless you have blue fingers, which, you know what? I've had blue fingers a lot, so it happens. Oh, here, I'll show you science, then I'll show you writing. So here's my science table. So I have some weather sensory bottles, and then this is all from my weather, all about weather little learner science unit, which is on TPT, so you can grab that if you want. I want to show you guys these sensory bottles because they are loving them. So we have Sunny. So these are those Voss plastic water bottles, and these are the small ones. They're not the super tall ones. These are the shorter ones. And they work just as fine and they're cheaper, but I just put blue water in and a yellow Pom Pom. So this is Sunny. And then Cloudy is, and I made this about like a month ago, and they're still holding up pretty good. And they play with them a lot. So it's just light blue. Again, I just colored the water blue and I put cotton balls in. Stormy. So I just made the water kind of like whatever, like grayish. And then I put in glitter for rain and my lightning bolts, which are getting stuck at the top, but that's fine. And then Rainy, shake it, is just water and glitter. That's it, water and glitter. And then Snowy, so I put in white pom-poms and glitter for Snowy. And then Hail is those glass gems. Oh, sorry. And water. And then, oh, and on the top, so this is the like silver duct tape, and then this is like that that like masking tape type colored tape. And then Windy, I just put in some, I just had these in my fall box. They're just like felt leaves. So somebody's asking, Barbara is asking, what kind of glue do I put on the top? So I will make my sensory bottle, and then I will hot glue the top real quick, screw on the lid. So I just use hot glue like from the dollar store, and then I screw on the lid, and once I know it doesn't leak, I put the lid on. Because every once in a while I won't get the lid on perfect and it'll leak. And some people, if you want to in the comments put what kind of glue you use for your sensory bottles, that would be great. It's always good to learn from each other. And then the activity I have for the cloud activity, because my kiddos are loving the clouds right now. They're talking all about clouds. Yeah, so I have this cloud, all the different types of clouds, and then they have the pom-poms, cotton balls, and then they can make the different types of clouds by pulling the cotton balls and manipulating them. So great, again, great fine motor with a visual for some fun science. So that is science. Oh, here's a couple other things you're doing for science. You can always, you know, we do this one all the time, right? Chart the weather. You can make a big graph. You can do a little graph. This is in my Little Learner Science unit. So everybody is... Oh, somebody's asking if you can use the sensory bottles again. I don't, because I usually keep my sensory bottles for like 3 or 4 years, and by then they're kind of just done and I just pitch them. But I think since I hot glue them, I don't think you can reuse them. So here is they have the little weather journal. So we all go to the window and we look at the weather, and like Monday was cloudy, and then they drew it, what it looked like. And they're like, I observe. And they were funny. They were like cracking me up because they're like, I observe the tree. And I'm like, well, what's the weather? Like, how do you see sun? Do you see clouds, rain? So it was really funny. We talked a lot about what observe means again. I guess I needed to review that. So today it was sunny, and then they observed the bright sunshine. So yeah, so they each have their own little one, and we're only doing weather for 1 week. So there's just 3 days of these, and these are in my All About Weather science unit. So here's a math activity that is in my Math and Literacy Science Centers pack. So it's about the forecast. So they grab a card, so they can either grab this card, or my pre-K friends, I've been using these addition cards, and then they pick, a little one. They pick a forecast card, and then they have to make the weather. So like the weather has 2 lightning bolts. So 1, 2. And then if they're my pre-K friends, because I would do this for small group. We don't have time to do this since we're only doing it for a week, but maybe it would be like, oh, they have 6 raindrops and 8 snowflakes. So they would count out 6 raindrops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 raindrops. Then they count out 8 snowflakes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then they can make, I'm trying to count and move my camera. So then they can write with a dry erase marker 6 plus 8 equals, and they can count the total. So just a really fun game that is either counting or informal addition. And that way it's easy for you to differentiate too. So you can pull your kiddos who need to do counting and do just counting with them. And if your kiddos are ready for that informal addition, or maybe they're ready for like bigger numbers, and maybe you can just pull out the bigger cards. Number cards, and they can use those bigger numbers. All right. So we also made these fabulous sunshine patterns this week. We did this for a departure activity one day. So all they do is they pick a sunshine card, and then they have to they copy and then they extend the pattern. So it was like gold, orange, orange, gold, orange, orange. So at this point in the year, I'm really excited because even my 3s are starting to really extend that pattern. And then I also have the blank cards, so my pre-K friends could make their own AB, ABC, AABB, all those different patterns. And again, this is in my Weather, Math, and Literacy Centers pack. And then, of course, you have to have cloud cover up, right? Because all the great cloud books, which I will show you my books in a second. I forgot to show you guys those. So all they do is pick a card, and then they cover it up. Super simple. And then we have Weather Stew, which I borrowed all my clouds for our activity because I ran out the other day, or today when we played it. So if you own my Counting Stews pack, you know all about these. So what they do is they pick a stew card, and they count out each item, put it in their stew pot, and mix it up. And they love it. And this one is in the theme pack, and it is in the theme stew pack, and it's in the giant bundle. So fun. All right, so for black, so this is the freebie. So if you go to the top of this post, it'll say grab the freebie. So this is what the freebie is. So it is the STEM I Can Build cards, which are all of these hanging up. And so why you want to put cards up, or challenges, or just real photographs in your block center or in your STEM center, sorry about that, because a quick move. You want to challenge them to build something new. So that way they're extending their thinking. They're not building the same thing over and over and over, but they're really challenging themselves to build something new. And you want to put out new materials too. Like the top of my shelf usually changes with a theme, and then the bottom of my shelf is typically the same. So for, we have all the different weather they can build, and like a kite and an umbrella. Like I have out these, again, this glass gem. I have lightning bolts that I cut from foam. This is just square felt. And you will be surprised, my kids love, and this is, I want to say it's from Target in like the craft section, and it's like really sturdy felt. But they love using felt because they'll use it for like a roof. Today they made a big storm cloud with it, and then they put all the different weather in it, and then they used this crepe paper, which they so nicely crumbled up. Y'all, see, my kids aren't perfect. But they made this rainbow through the middle, and before they cleaned it up before I could make them keep it. That's okay. And then I have these fun stackable rainbows. So these are, I want to say they're like $5 or $8 from Walmart, and they're plastic. I know that there's wooden rainbows, but they're out, at least I think they're like outrageously priced. So yeah, so these are just plastic ones from Walmart, and they're awesome. So somebody asked me if I'm only doing weather for 1 week, and I am. Typically I do 2-week themes, but because we had spring break, and just the way our calendar felt, we're only doing it for 1 week. But typically I do our themes for at least a week, but you know, it just sometimes happens. So again, make sure you go to my blog and you grab these, and they are actually, I printed these smaller, so I printed these 2 to a page. They're actually a full page real photographs. So, and you could even put these out with a Play-Doh tray. So if you have a rainbow Play-Doh tray, you can put this out next to your Play-Doh tray, and it just challenges them to build a rainbow, or maybe you want to build a kite or a tornado. So yeah, so really, really fun. All right, I want to show you all of my writing center. These are all the ones that I have out, and I struggled finding good books for weather. So if you have a favorite book you love for weather, go ahead and pop it in the comments. There's also Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, which I don't have. That one's really great. And people are asking about the rainbows. They are a recent purchase, probably like a month or 2 ago I bought the second one. So they're still there. So yeah. So some of my favorites are Little Cloud by Eric Carle, but it's about a little cloud and he changes into all the different shapes. You just gotta love Little Cloud. I love it. And there's also It Looked Like Spilled Milk is really fun for a weather theme. I also love The Big Umbrella. I actually got to meet Amy, the author, at NACY in the fall, and it's beautiful. The illustrations are beautiful, the words are super simple, and she has an umbrella, and it's big, and it's a big friendly umbrella, and it likes to help, and it spreads its arm wide. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it takes everyone under the umbrella. And she actually wrote this book with her daughter, which I just love. And they would talk about it on the way to school every morning. But yeah, The Big Umbrella by Amy Bates. But yeah, it's an awesome book about just acceptance and just being kind and loving one another, which we all need right now, right? The world is a hot mess. We all know. All right, so my writing table has all kinds of fun word cards, and it has the themed writing paper. I found these little rainbow stickers, which are really fun. My kids love stickers. And then I put these tracing mats out at the writing table. So don't forget to put out like tracing mats at the writing table. And if you don't have mine from my store, just take a blue piece of paper and just make your lines, different lines on it, and they can trace them. You don't have to have the ones like from my store or pretty TPT ones or Printables. You can just put them in and make them yourself on just blue paper, and you can even use like kite stickers, or you could even put the rainbow stickers here and then draw different paths. But yeah, it's always fun to put some tracing sheets at the writing table. And these are like lamination pouches, and they erase super, super easy. So I love these little pouches, and I got them on Amazon, and again, the link's at the top if you want to grab them. But yeah, sometimes they have them at like the Target dollar spot. But yeah, these are they lamination pouches? Dry erase pockets, sorry. Dry erase pockets are awesome. I changed up my writing tray this week. So I just literally put out a tray from, this is just, oh, it lost me. Okay. I think I'm having trouble with my signal when I go to this spot in my classroom. So this is just colored salt. So I just took a little bit of liquid watercolor, put in some salt, and I colored it. Super simple. But yeah, so they just take the little Pom Pom, which is kind of like a sun, and then they pick the word card. And I use this bigger tray since I'm using the weather words with it. Obviously, this one's a little bit shorter, But if they're writing the long word, like raindrops, they're gonna need a bigger space. So yeah, and it's actually big enough to share. So like I had two kiddos, they were playing it on the ground, and one kiddo was like using this side and the other kid was facing them, and they were facing each other using each side. So that was really nice. So yeah, and then another fun little game I have. So this is something that's fun to do, especially at this point in the year when they're kind of getting squirrely. Just take a tray and put some kind of sensory material in it. Beans, rice. Well, rice will spill, but I use beans because they're easier to pick up. But you can also dye your beans, even if you're not putting like a tornado game in, but just take those white beans and then put some paint on them and shake them up, or liquid watercolor, and you can dye your beans. But just put your puzzle pieces in some kind of sensory material, and they'll be much more inclined to play it. Because, I mean, look, I can't even stop playing with it, right? So they basically, like, pick a card out. So sub and tub rhyme, and it makes the little tornado, and then they would put that one to the side. So super, super fun. Well, you guys have an awesome night. You guys have a fabulous night. And if you want to keep talking, or you have any questions, or you think of a question later, hop over to the Pocket of Preschool Facebook group, and we will talk more over there. All right, you guys have a great night.